Here we go. The first episode of 2026. My name is Phil, and you're listening to The Lib. How about that? 2026. The first episode is here, and it is me just talking for the 22nd time. Episode 241. I love these episodes. I just enjoy this. I really do. Now, they're going to be a little different than they were when I originally started early on because I enjoyed the concept of just sitting back in my office and just thinking about stuff that happened to me that week, that month, the entirety of the year, stuff that was just on my mind. And I just threw it out there. But as I've mentioned on previous episodes, I got so many things that I wanted to talk about, and I knew I couldn't fit them all into one episode, that I had to do myself a favor and write the stuff down. So it's stuff that I would just be talking about, but I don't want to forget what it was that I was talking about. So as a result of that, I have to make sure that I remember what I want to talk about. And so I make plenty of opportunities for myself to just see these things as they're going about and to write down things now. Because if I don't, I won't remember to talk about them. For example, there's something that I want to talk about on another episode, but I don't think I'm going to be able to fit it in on this one. So, well, got my pen, got my notebook here, and I just wrote it down. Probably been a few weeks of me thinking about stuff that I wanted to write about just for this episode. So I knew for sure that I've got to just keep jotting stuff down. In fact, something happened a couple days ago because, like I said, this is the first episode of the new year, and it just so happens that I'm recording it on New Year's Day, 2026. Yeah, the last episode came out was the New Year's episode, which was, like I said previously, was early. Just the way the recording schedule panned out. Not much you can do about it. But I think it was a fairly fun episode to do. But now, we're going to actually do a tried and true episode for January. And, well, starting off on the first day of the year doing this episode, which will be released on January 3rd, 2026. And it's going to be me just talking. I hope you enjoy it. But as for right now, it's time to fill in the blanks. What is the blank that could possibly be filled in today? What is a question that I have? Well, it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. What did I do on New Year's Eve, which, as I'm recording, was last night? And the answer was, well, I ordered Domino's with the kids, watched my favorite personal movie, Snatch, with Brad Pitt and Vinnie Jones and Jason Statham. Love that movie. And at the very end, I ended up listening to the fireworks. Yeah. On this area where I'm at now, my house is surrounded by a couple spots where people like to let off fireworks, and it's a really, really good display. In fact, the fireworks that were released yesterday, as I'm recording this, were better than the ones that they did on the 4th of July. They were that good. They really were. Well, as we're leading up into the 250th year of our country, I think we should bring it in with a bang, right? So the question is, what did I do for New Year's Eve? Once again, watched the movie Snatch, had Domino's with the kids, and listened to some fireworks. That's how that all played out. But now, it's time to ring the bell and begin the main event. Just Talking 22. Turns out, on this 22nd edition of Just Talking, I have a lot to talk about. So much so, as in some of the other episodes, that it's going to spill over to another episode of Just Talking. Even one of them, I changed it to an observation because it really made more sense to put it there. Where do we begin? I think we begin with something that I actually was going to use in an episode previously. And that is games played in grade school. Pal, Phoenix again, trying to make himself known. Say hi to everybody, Phoenix. Saying hi? Yeah, say hi to everybody. Yeah. But anyway, games that I played when I was in grade school, and one that I actually didn't get to play, but my younger girl cousins played it a lot. I'm going to start with that one because I never really quite understood how to play it. And they were, I guess it's 11 and 13 years younger than me. And they tried to get me to figure out how to play this game when they were obviously much younger. And I went out there and I tried playing with them, and it just was, I didn't get it all the way. It wasn't one of the games that I used to play. And the game that I'm talking about is called Block Ball. From what I understand, or what I understood of Block Ball, was there were 4 blocks that you had, and a player would be in each block, and you're kind of playing a little bit of what felt to me like almost a volleyball with no net, or somewhat of a dodgeball sort of thing. But you have to maintain your block, and you have to you can score by putting the ball in your opponent's block. That's what kind of made me a little like, I wasn't really fully aware of how it went. But it seemed like a fun enough game. I mean, I didn't understand what I was doing, so I could have been winning and I have no idea. But that's just kind of the way it played out. Thought it was an interesting game, and they liked it, so I figured it's going to be worth a try, right? Right. But now to more games that were more my speed. I'm going to tell you right now, these are ones that I played in gym and in classroom. This one mostly in the gym itself. And it's just one of the classic games. And if I remember correctly, there may actually be, or should be, a pro circuit for it. In fact, I know there's a pro circuit for one. And that was tag. If you look through it, you'll find that there are pro leagues for tag. It's crazy. The pro leagues for tag, you have like obstacles that people are weaving in and out of. It's crazy. I know I watched it when I was waiting to go home when I was working in the jail, and it was just crazy. These people were jumping up and down through obstacles, diving under stuff, rolling around. There was a time limit. It was super intense. It really was. Now, when we played tag, it was not quite at that level, but it was definitely intense, and it was a lot of fun. Another great game that we played, probably the next two games I'm going to talk about, probably the two greatest games of all time. And those two games are Silent Ball. We'll start with that. Silent Ball, if you've never played it, your childhood is missing something. Truly, truly missing something. Now, what we would do is we would sit on top of our desks. The teacher would bring in, of all things, a dodgeball. Usually a dodgeball every time. At least when I was in school, it was dodgeball. And what would have to happen is, obviously, everybody would have to remain perfectly quiet. And you would have to pick a person who sit on their desk, and you have to throw the ball to that person. And now, in that way, you had to do one of two things. In order to eliminate the person, you had to either have them not catch the ball, or they had to speak while playing the game. You had to be silent. That's the whole point. You couldn't say anything. And of course, when the game started getting more and more intense, or I should say, when we were running out of time, because we would usually only play this game towards the end of the day, what the teacher would then say is we would then change it from just regular catching the ball to one-handed silent ball, which would eliminate a lot more people a lot quicker. Fun game. Really was. Remember playing silent ball all the way up through, played it 6th grade, up till 6th grade. It's a great game. A lot of fun. Good memories in a lot of different classes. But then came the ultimate game. The one that I couldn't even remember the name of. Excuse me. It's a little bit past my bedtime as I'm recording now. It's like 11 o'clock, but hey, that's the breaks, right? You want to stay up for the New Year's, you gotta end up taking the tired, right? But anyway, the game that I'm talking about, which I believe was the ultimate game that I played in class, was Thumbs Up, 7-Up, we called it. Just the greatest game. Just the greatest game. For those of you who don't remember this, which I imagine there are a few of you who probably a little young and might not remember it, but then there's plenty of you who are maybe just old like me and forgot it because it's been so long since you played it. You'd have to put your head down on your desk and you stick your thumb up. And there would usually be 7 people, at least that's how we always did it. 7 kids would walk around throughout the other people who were there, and they would put your thumb down. And you had to guess who put your thumb down. And when you guessed, if you guessed correctly, then you became one of the people who would walk around putting the thumbs down. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. The only trick about that game was it was real easy to cheat. Unlike the other ones that I was talking about earlier, like block ball, for me, I couldn't really cheat because I didn't really know the rules. Duck Goose, there's really not much you can do to cheat about that. You just gotta be fast. But and silent ball, I mean, hey, you either caught the ball or you didn't. You spoke or you didn't. But lots of people in the middle of playing Thumbs Up, 7-Up would, when they're putting their head down, they wouldn't close their eyes, and they would look and they would see who was going by, and they would just sort of take a little glimpse see who just put their thumb down. And of course, that's cheating. But a lot of times, because we always played it, they turned off the lights in the classroom, so there'd be a little bit of a shadow, so you couldn't really tell if somebody's eyes were open. So it ended up being that you could get away with it a little bit. But boy, it's such a simple thing. But that game always brought up fun memories. It really, really did. Really, really did. Did so well. Again, like I said, recording this show on the first day of January 2026. And I'm going to go ahead and, as they say, point out the elephant in the room. Now, there's still a lot of Christmas decorations out. Seems to be okay. Now, from my personal preference, I'm thinking I give you another few days, especially since New Year's Day is on a Thursday. And there's a lot of good football games coming on this week. 49ers in Seattle on Saturday. Just gonna throw that out there. So I might be willing to have a little bit of mercy and say, keep the lights and the decorations up until Monday or Tuesday, which would be, what's that? Saturday's the 3rd. So I'd say maybe the 5th. The 5th of January. That sounds right. Sounds about right. It's up there for a while, but it's not too long. It's long enough. It's good enough to get your point across, in my opinion. Put that stuff away, get it ready for next time. But what's too long is the person who keeps their stuff out there past Martin Luther King's birthday on January 15th. Is that too long? I think that's way too long. Way too long. Now, if there was some snow or rain or stuff like that, inclement weather, I can understand stretching it out a little bit further because, well, inclement weather is inclement weather, You got to deal with what you got to deal with, and the best way to handle it is just sort of let it pass, and then when it clears up, go ahead and give it a shot then. I'll give you a pass for that. No problem. However, there is one set of decorations that I would say that you can keep up as long as you want. 2 different types. And these 2 types of decoration have become what I'm going to consider necessary. You gotta have them. Period. End of story. Gotta have them. First part of decorations, which is pretty cool, is there was somebody who was around my neighborhood who put up their decorations around Thanksgiving, a little before Thanksgiving, probably week and a half before Thanksgiving, maybe even 2 weeks as far as it goes. And they had the Christmas tree, the lights, and all that stuff, but a very specific Santa Claus decoration, which was kind of interesting. He was on his side, down. And on top of him was a turkey. And there was a sign that said, "Wait your turn, fat man," with a turkey standing on top of Santa Claus. It's priceless. Absolutely priceless. And it's the greatest thing I've seen in quite a while. I love it. Absolutely priceless. You can keep that one up until, I don't care, man. Keep it up till February. That's great. It's absolutely great. It makes my day to see that. And the other one, now, I don't know, I'm guessing by now most people are familiar with those Halloween giant decorations they've had. Really big witches, really big uh, ghosts, really big werewolves, and my personal favorites are the really big skeletons. Now, the really big skeletons are just what they are, really, really big. And the werewolves, I've seen these suckers, and they've got to be somewhere between 15 and 20 feet tall. Just gigantic, these things. And going through Home Depot and Lowe's a couple times, I just was curious as how much one of those giant skeletons cost. And I saw one of those things, it must have been a 20-foot one, I guess it was. And the sucker was like $300 for this gigantic skeleton. And first and foremost, it made me think of the urgent care, not too far away from us. The one that we ended up going to when we all had COVID. And it's so close and convenient, and in comparison to where our doctor's offices are, if you get like a sniffle or something like that, we would just go to that urgent care instead of making an appointment at our doctor. That was only for like real major things or checkups. And so this is, I guess, 2020, 2021? End of 2021? And this isn't one of those 20-foot skeletons, but it was just a regular 5-foot skeleton, give or take. And it was on display for Halloween at the urgent care. And it was sitting there and had all the Halloween decorations there. And then Thanksgiving came, and there was a cornucopia underneath the skeleton's arm. No, this is interesting. Now, of course, because of this time, we were just, a lot of us, going back and forth because we were sick to that urgent care, so we actually saw the cornucopia after it just was being a skeleton for Halloween. Then, of course, we had some more sickness in the house, and we were there in December. And the urgent care people put one of those Santa hats on top of the skeleton. So he had a Santa hat on. But, okay. We're getting our money's worth out of this skeleton. Now, this is just one of the small ones, but that's what happened. I think it was March. I had to go back there. And the same skeleton had rabbit ears on. They just kept that skeleton there, and they just kept throwing out whatever holiday was next. Thought that was kind of cool. I'm pretty sure that if it was 4th of July, I believe it was 4th of July, they actually had one of those top hats with the American flag on it, like Uncle Sam. Say hi again, Phoenix. And, well, that was the best use of that particular skeleton. And on that same note, probably within a year of that same time, with the small skeleton, they had a larger skeleton, one of those 20-foot skeletons in one of those places, and that 20-foot skeleton had the same treatment because it just looked like it was really difficult to put up, and for all intents and purposes, like I said, the thing cost like $300. So what this one house did was, not even one house, was one house in 2021 or 2022, and then more recently a house did the very same thing this year with their giant skeleton. Instead of putting the no claws, pal. instead of taking the skeleton down for Christmas, they said, "Hey, we paid $300 for this thing." And so what we're going to do is we're going to get our money's worth out of it. And they did the same thing that they did at the urgent care. Instead of putting a little Santa hat on it, they put a big one on it because it's a giant skeleton. And I would say they got their money's worth out of that skeleton. And as far as length of time, that I would suggest that you can keep that thing up, man, you can put a Santa hat on a giant skeleton, and you could put the bunny ears on top of the giant skeleton. Because, man, if you made that $300 investment to buy this gigantic thing that you now have to figure out a place to put it in, the best thing I can say to you is, boy, get your money's worth out of it. Put some hearts around it for Valentine's Day. Like I said, get one of those Uncle Sam hats for not just the 4th of July, but Memorial Day and Labor Day. Whew. My goodness. I'm going to go as far as say, man, you might even put a little tree next to them for Arbor Day, because it's that way. When you pay that much for a skeleton like that, I think that you should definitely get your money's worth out of it. And I think that's the only way you can do it. And I would say that the amount of days that you can keep that up, infinite. Absolutely infinite. I would even put happy birthday balloons around it for people's birthdays. Man, I would not ever take that thing down if I put that much money into it. He's a fixture. He stays. He absolutely stays. Giant skeleton decorations. Yeah. Yeah. You stick around all year long. Gonna get my money's worth out of you for certain. Another topic. I'm just gonna throw it out there. I really hate it when people park where they shouldn't. I just do. I just do. Doesn't make any sense to me why they do it. And for some reason, they really like to do it around my house. They just do. They enjoy it. Oh. They enjoy. I need my spot there. Sorry, pal. I know. This isn't what I usually record. But I gotta do what I gotta do today. People park where they shouldn't park, and they do it a lot for some reason right around my house because it's on a corner, and my house has a lot of places where you shouldn't park. For one, my fence is opened up to my driveway. I find people parking in front of my driveway more frequently than I can count. And it's just absolutely drives me nuts. It does. It's ridiculous. I can't think of a worse place you could possibly park than in front of somebody's driveway. I don't do it. I don't understand why other people just say, oh, well, it's house in the corner, no big deal. Just park here. Especially during school year, and the people who park in that general area know that there's a car that's in the parking that's in the driveway, and if they don't see the car in the driveway, they know the car is going to be back in the driveway or have to get back into the driveway. So why would you park there with the hopes of saying, well, we'll beat them? No, how about you just go find somewhere else to park? And then, of course, on the same thing, on the corner of my house, there's a fire hydrant. And boy, I hate it when people park in front of the fire hydrant. Probably hate that more so than when people park in front of my driveway. Safely, I hate that more. because when you park in front of the fire hydrant, it's not just going to affect necessarily my house, which of course I would be extraordinarily aggravated if I found somebody doing it and my house was on fire. I would literally drag them into my burning house and use them as a wheelbarrow to get my stuff out. But it's not just my house. Across the street from me, I have a neighbor who is a very, very elderly lady. And her daughter lives with her. And she's not a young lady either. And they're going to have some issues getting in and out if there's a problem with a fire. And putting those two at an extreme risk, it's just not good. And then there's other houses going down my block that would be directly affected if there was a fire and somebody was parked in front of the fire hydrant in front of my house. I don't understand it. It makes no sense to me. It doesn't make any sense at all. But one of my favorite things to do whenever I see somebody from my window parked in my driveway, I very much enjoy just getting out of the house. I could be literally have nowhere to be. I will get in my car. I will start my car. I will drive my car down my little hill all the way down my driveway to the entrance to the street, and I will purposely park my car within a half an inch of their car. And I'll just sit there. And usually they get the message. Oh. I'm sorry I parked here. Yeah, you're sorry, all right. And then on the way in, that's even more aggravating. Oh, I hate that. When I'm on my way in and some idiot parks directly in front of my driveway. Now, I don't live on a street that is quiet. It's a throughway. It really is. It's a real easy way to get to a main street, one of the main arteries here in Philadelphia, and there's an exit road where you can use to get to, it's like I said, it's a throughway. You can use it to get to a main entrance, a main artery, two main arteries, which will eventually lead you to Roosevelt Boulevard. And then you can even work your way around without too much difficulty and find yourself going to 95 from this little area. So there's always traffic, a lot of it. And because of that, especially during the rush hour times, when people are trying to go get their kids from school, or I'm trying to leave to get my kids, or coming back from getting my kids, some of these people stop right in front of my house and they sit there and they park. Walking down to the school, down the road, get their kids. And knowing that I'm going into my driveway, I think to myself, I've been completely inconvenienced. I can't park into my driveway because what this fool has done. And so I just say, I'm going to be right here because I'm not, where am I going to go? There's cars all around my house and I'm on a corner. I'm literally, let me see, 1, 2, 3, no, I'm not a peninsula. I'm not covered by street on 3 sides. I'm only covered on it by 2. But the other 2 sides are inaccessible. You're not going to drive in them. So I've had to stop and wait a half an hour in the middle of a throughway, which of course makes people go nuts because, hey, they gotta wait. They gotta drive around, they gotta do something because I have nowhere to go and I've got to get to my house. So looks like we're gonna sit here and wait for a while. And then eventually somebody comes lollygagging out and goes, oh, yeah, I'm trying to get there. Move now. And it's just, it's nauseating. It really is. Why can't you just park somewhere else? Makes no sense to park in a driveway. None. None at all. Now that I've pretty much irritated myself talking about those people doing that stupid stuff, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite things. Something that I haven't done in a long time. When's the last time I did this? I'm going to really think back now in my mind when the last time I did this was. Huh. It wasn't that day. Was it last year? I'm going back. I'm going back quite a while now. Before COVID? Taking me a minute to think about this, but I didn't do it there. I think the last time I did it was probably too far back. It's 2009. Moving myself forward. I know I did it before 2009. This is 2015, 16. Mm. 2017. I guess last time I probably did this was like 2018, so it's been a long time. And what am I talking about? What have I sat there and been thinking about for the last little bit? It's a thing that I call the show. Now, there's obviously a baseball game, a PlayStation, former PlayStation exclusive called MLB The Show. Love that game. I've been playing it for Xbox since 2021. Just gonna throw that out there. But the show is truthfully one of my favorite things to do. And it was a feat that I would do constantly before I met my wife. I guess the last time that I would put it on was 2018, and yeah, I think it was 2018 was the last time I put on the show. And I don't remember doing it after that. what am I talking about? What is the show? The show is when I go to a pizza place and, like I said, and I order a large pie. 9 times out of 10, I would take it home and eat the whole thing while I was home. But the show is when I would order a large pie at a pizza place and I would eat it there at the pizza place, letting everybody watch the show as I would eat the entire pizza, crust to crust, all the way, nothing left. And my favorite thing to do at the end of the show was take the empty pizza pan back to the front. It was always the best part of the show. And I did it at Pizza Hut quite a few times. I would do it at a place which was called Midtown Pizza. We'll get back to them. I did it at a few other pizza places where I would have the show. One place I did it at Capone's. I believe I did put on the show at Capone's. Thought I did. Must have. Because I know that those small gourmet pies, the greatest things ever. And once I started getting hooked into that, I don't believe I put a show on, because those are just small pies. They're smaller than DiGiorno's, but they're the best possible quality. They come from one of those wood burning stoves, just immaculate. But the show is, like I said, I sit down and eat an entire large pizza in front of everybody. Essentially, a show. Typically, large pie anywhere is between 16 and 18 inches around. And I'd blow through that thing in, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, give or take. And at the end, I take that pan, bam, ate the whole thing. But of course, at Midtown, they have the biggest pizzas that I've ever experienced. Now, at Seaside, they had a 23-inch pizza, which is a strange size, but that's what it was. That's what it is. 23-inch pizza at Three Brothers from Italy on Seaside. All the locations will make a 23-inch pie, and they'll use that for their sliced pie. But Midtown had a 24-inch one, a full 2-foot around. And after performing the show somewhere like 3 or 4 times, the owner would start to ask me, "Did you ever try eating one of those?" I don't know, never did. The regular pie was like I said, it was 16 or 18 inches. I can't remember, probably 16, and I'd blow through that, no problem. But that big one, the 24-inch one, was just that. It was a monster. It was your regular sliced pizzas cut in 8. Because of the size of the 24-inch pizza, the excess around it would probably make it somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 regular slices. Easy. So instead of 8, it's 12. Easy. And that requires a lot more focus. It becomes more business to eat that sucker than pleasure, if that's what you're going after to eat it. I mean, it's a job. And after just talking to him a few times, and of course, being a near competitive eater, I thought about it because I had some pretty good eats before. I mean, this is before I ate the 11 bowls of pasta at Olive Garden and the 26 and a half pancakes That was hard. But this thing was right there, and it was probably the biggest feat that I hadn't even tried. And so I took more time and I concentrated and I trained for about a month and a half. I would still go there on a day off and eat the small one, the regular one, excuse me, not small one, the large pie. And I would tell them, I'm going to work my way up to eating this thing. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And then the day showed up. I was just angry. I don't know what, but I was. And I just said, I can do this. I had been training by eating 3 or 4 days in a row, a pound of pasta at a time. So that I'd chewed it, because usually when I would eat pasta for quantity, I wouldn't even chew it. I would eat a lot of penny, and I would just swallow it. Another whole thing, I'll talk about that eventually, if I ever tell you my techniques of competitive eating, which I never got into a real contest, but that's neither here nor there. I had to train. And so I felt I was ready. So bring it on. Bring on the big boy. The Midtown Ultimate Show. Not just any show, but the Ultimate Show. They put that big old sucker at 24-inch pizza in front of me. And they simply said, if you can eat this thing, we'll give you a shirt. And my goodness, they didn't care how long it took. They just said, if you eat it, we'll give you a shirt. And I started. I attacked. Easily the first 4 or 5 slices. When you eat that, it was like eating a whole... Yeah, it was like eating a large pie to the first 5 slices. The last 3... Whew, they nearly killed me in the last 3. And that was tough, like nothing's been tough before. But I got through it, and I had to use a lot of my competitive eating techniques that I had learned. And boy, it was not easy. But in what was the time? 58 minutes and like 40 seconds. The first time I did it, it was under an hour by just a little bit. I was like, man. The second one that I did was about a year later. I believe it was Thor, and the second Thor came out. I was going to go watch for my birthday. The Dark Elves one, my favorite one. And that one took me 59 minutes and some change. I wasn't quite up for it, but I was up for it. Because I knew I could do it, because I already did one. So I wanted to do it again. And so I did it a second time. And boy, that second one was a little easier than the first, but I guess you could say I got a little cocky and I lost a minute or so of my time. It could have almost taken me a little more than an hour if I ate it more than that. But boy, I was close. I knocked it down in under an hour a second time as well. But that was a beyond show. Because that was pushing my limits show. But typically, the normal show would be just eat a large pie, 16 to 18, and it would take me about anywhere between 15 and 20 minutes, depending on what I was doing and who I was with and who was talking, how that would go. But the show, I'm considering doing it again. Because I don't believe I've done the show, like I said, since 2018. I've taken some home and I've eaten them at home. But there's something different about it when you have that pizza in front of you and there's strangers around watching. This event is what it turns into. It's just what it sounds like. It is a literal show. It's great. Who knows? If I do a show, I'll record it. If I do a show in 2026, I'll record it so you can see the show. It's a spectacle. It really is. And it depends on how my gut is feeling. I know, like I said, just training and going back to the gym, doing the show is probably not the most friendly thing for the exercise routine. And I think I might give it a go just to put it online and not hurt. Might not hurt. Document that. In fact, I'm going to put it out there. I will do the show. And I will do the show somewhere out here. I don't know where I'm going to do it, but I know I'm going to do it. I have a couple places that I would think of to do the show at. So I'm going to have to prime myself and get ready to do it. We're going to do a show. Can't wait. Can't wait now. Got myself all psyched up because I haven't done it in so long. Now, the last thing I would want to do is, like, at home, I just blow those things away every once in a while. Excuse me. But I don't want to go and embarrass myself. But I don't think I will. I think I can do it. Just like in Mission Impossible, Final Reckoning, Ethan Hunt says the line that was really cool. I'm going to ask you to trust me one more time. I think I can do it. And on that note, I'm going to ring the bell and we're going to close down the main event. And what we've got for you now is my NFL picks from last week. We're going to do this. Where are we at? We're at week 17 that has just passed. But I didn't officially log in or tell you how I did with the 49ers against the Colts. I picked 28-14 49ers. And I was right. The 49ers won. But they got 20 more points than I expected. Boo. Crazy stuff. And the Colts, well, they got twice as many points as I thought they were going to get. They got 27 instead of 14. Just a little under 20 points more. No, just a little under doubling themselves up. But that gave me a very good week. It gave me a perfect week for week 16. Well, let's just say week 17, we were not perfect. Not in the least. We're going to start off by saying I picked the 49ers to beat the Bears. I said 24-17. And they definitely were the only one that I got right this week. But they exploded. 42-38, 49ers over the Bears. All the other games that I picked, logically it made sense. And every one of them was wrong. I said Rams over the Falcons. That turned out to be wrong. Rams lose 27-35. Bears, no, Bills 38, Eagles 28. Nah, Eagles 13, Bills 12. Packers 20. What did I say? I said Packers 28, Ravens 20, 41-24. And then the loser bowl, I somehow thought the Raiders were going to win that. 10-3. Turned out Giants 34, Raiders 10. Just madness, really was. Just did awful. I was 1-4 this week. Like I said, week 17, not the best. Week 16, tied for one of my best. Just like week 11, I got every single one correct in both weeks. 16, 11. Any other weeks that I did that in? 16 and 11. Perfect. 4-1. Start off great. 4-1. All 4-1s. Oh no! Week 4 I was 1-4 too. Week 5, it's 3 perfect weeks. Three perfect weeks, but only Kurt Hennig was perfect, so what are you going to do? Final week of the season, week 18. Is there anything that I want to change about these before I go about it? No, I like my picks here. I said Jaguars are going to win over the Titans 35-21. Not changing my Charger pick. I like the Broncos beating the Chargers by a very little margin. 21-20. The Eagles, Commanders, they just don't got nothing left. 35-17, that makes sense to me. Packers over the Vikings, who have nothing to play for now. And nobody playing for them, it seems like. They just sort of fell apart. I'll definitely like to see the Packers win this one 24-20. And the big one, 49ers in Seattle. I think it could be relatively close, but that all depends on what Sam Darnold wants to do. If he feels like being generous and spreading the New Year's cheer and giving us a whole bunch of extra turnovers like he is capable of doing, I expect this game to end up being 30-27, 49ers taking home field advantage in the NFC. That's what I'm expecting. Boy, you gotta love it. Now, it's time for the Spear of the Week. Spear of the Week is pretty simple to me. It does, in fact, surround football, and not the professional version, but the college version. These are kids, and it's sad to say that you're going to embarrass some of these kids the way that you embarrass them. Truthfully, the format for the college playoffs is just not right. The idea that you have the top 4, and then you have some of the championship teams get in, but not even all of them. And then you go with some at-large bids. Right now, an at-large bid team, in my opinion, is the odds-on favorite to win the whole thing, and it's Miami. The Hurricanes are doing just that. They're blowing right through everybody right now. They are looking unstoppable, and I think that it's very possible that they could win the whole thing as an at-large bid. They just said, "Hey, we want you guys in." Now, two teams that were conference champions who made it to the college football playoffs, and this is why I've decided to get the Spear of the Week. I'm not taking anything from James Madison. Good young men, good program. Not taking anything away from the Green Wave of Tulane. They had a great season. They fought hard. They did what they needed to do, and they made it to the college football championship series, the playoffs. Man, hats off to those kids. They did what they needed to do to get to where they wanted to get to, but it ultimately didn't work because, let's face it, I believe many people have said it, and I'll continue to say it. There's levels to this thing. There are levels to this thing. Now, the team that I really like in college football is the University of Texas. They won the Citrus Bowl. I would have to say, and almost everybody who knows anything about college football would probably say the same thing. If Texas played Tulane or James Madison, they would beat them by 20 points or more. They would roll over them, and it wouldn't even be close. And that's exactly what happened to James Madison. It's exactly what happened to Tulane. It wasn't pretty. They got beat to death by teams who were better than them. Just better. And the competitiveness of those games was certainly in question because there was no competition. Those guys didn't belong. And I honestly believe that you take out those two teams and you insert Notre Dame, who didn't make it, and you insert Texas. Heck, you insert the team that Texas beat in the Citrus Bowl. You insert Michigan. Either one of those teams would have been better than what we got. And it's just, no, not right now. You insert either of those teams, and it's a better game. So, my Spear of the Week goes to this tournament committee, which is stupid to me. It's just stupid. You're going to put those kids in a position where they're going to get embarrassed by getting beat by a team that is far superior. It's not even a contest to what happened to them. It was unfair to the students, but they got the experience and they have stories to tell. But that committee needs to go, and they need to make it very simple. There's a top 25. Use it. Forget conference championships. Forget at large. Just make it that plain and simple. You have 12 teams getting into this tournament. Heck, they think they might expand it to 16. Who cares? You still have a top 25. And that top 25 is there for a reason. It tells you who the best 25 teams in the country are. If we want to have 12 teams, you just say, okay, who's ranked number 1 through number 12? You're in. No questions asked. Don't care about conference championship. Don't care about any of that stuff. If you are ranked number 1 through 12, you're in. And if there's a 16 team, same deal. You are the top 16 teams in the country. At this point, you're now in the tournament. Done. That's how it goes. That's how it should be. Then you'll have competitors. You'll have competition. You'll have good games. But the way they did that, I honestly feel like they did those kids wrong. Spear of the Week. A very long-winded Spear of the Week. the College Football Playoff Committee. And now it's time to shut down this show. I thought it was a lot of fun here. I enjoyed just talking. And here we go with 241 episodes down. You can check out the archives on Spotify. And every once in a while I've been putting one of those here or there out so people can come check it out. Good stuff. I like to bring up the Instagram page. Philip Henderson 5102. Check me out there. I want you to join us on our lit Facebook group. Join us. Wanted to try to get to 100 before the end of the year. Admittedly, we did pick up somebody. And I'll say this. I'm glad for it. I hope we do end up getting that 100 in the next month. It's the next goal, I would say. Try to get to that 100. Join us, because there's always room for one more. Maybe you'll be that one more. Join us on the Lit Facebook group. Anything else that's on my mind at the moment? Well, hopefully I didn't forget anything. I don't believe I did. But if I did, well, it wasn't meant to be in the show. And I'll tell you now, it's time for the words of wisdom. The words of wisdom here are not the usual ones that I would go about making. Today, as I'm recording, is New Year's Day. At least for another 9 minutes as I'm recording here. Late at night. It is about to finish up the show, and it's 11:51 p.m. on January 1st, 2026. And so, what I would say is, I hope you all had a safe New Year's Eve celebration if you did anything. And I hope that your new year is good. And those are the words of wisdom. And on that note, I want to let you know that my name is Phil, and you've just listened to The Lit.